Hello and welcome to another Innovation Explained video. If you've been following us for a while, you've probably heard us talk about innovation strategy before. But as you may have learned, it's not exactly easy to create a great innovation strategy in practice. So today, we'll talk about a framework called the Flywheel of Growth that I've personally found to be really effective in designing and communicating an innovation strategy. We'll start by explaining how the model works and then show you how you can create your own flywheel of growth. But with that, let's get started. Now, the flywheel of growth was made famous by Jim Collins and has been used in different forms by many organizations, perhaps most famously by Amazon, but the basic concept is always the same. The idea behind the flywheel of growth is essentially a metaphor for the mechanical device, which, once it's put into motion with constant effort, is able to build and maintain that momentum for a long time. For example, Formula 1 cars use a flywheel to capture energy from braking the car and then reuse that energy to boost acceleration later. Now, as a framework, its biggest strength is that due to its highly visual nature, it's very memorable and easy to communicate. Now, the big idea behind the framework that's really important for us to understand is that unlike what many believe, there really isn't a single magical moment that leads to overnight success, but that it almost always takes years of hard, focused work to get to and to maintain continuous growth. But if you can align the entire organization to build systems that are all designed to work together and help you achieve your ultimate goal, you start gaining more and more momentum, and once you've built these systems up, they will help you keep moving forward even when times are tough, like they are now. So, in essence, the flywheel of growth is about planning for long-term success and using each opportunity at your disposal to build the systems that help you grow and scale even more effectively. But, in my personal opinion, the best part of it is that it forces you to come up with something simple and visual, both of which are essential for communicating your strategy and focusing on what matters most for your business. The framework obviously isn't specific to innovation, but the point is that it should serve as the guiding principle for your innovation efforts. Now, let's take a look at how you actually build one. First of all, before you can actually build a flywheel, you must have all the prerequisites in place. In practice, this is more or less synonymous with just having a good business. One good method for seeing if that is the case is with the help of a framework called the Product Market Channel Model Canvas. Now, you've probably heard about product market fit, but in reality, you need a bit more than that. You also need to have a solid business model and the right channels to get to the customers in a profitable and scalable manner. Now, this is obviously quite an extensive topic, so we won't dive into it, but I'll link some excellent resources in the description for you in case you want to learn more. Anyway, when the basic elements of a solid business are there, the flywheel of growth is what can drive sustainably fast growth for you going forward. Next, you need to identify the elements that you can build your competitive advantage, aka the flywheel, on. For this, the 10 types of innovation framework is a very good option. Now, most people tend to think of innovation in a pretty narrow way and just focus on obvious things like product performance. Well, in reality, the best and most impactful innovations take a much more holistic view, and that's what the 10 types of innovation framework can help you do. You should use the framework to look at your existing business through each of these 10 lenses and look for ways in which improvements in each area could automatically lead to improvements in the other areas. Now, these are the improvements that will be the key drivers for your flywheel. Now, once you've done that, we can actually design and build the flywheel. But keep in mind that you won't be able to build the perfect flywheel right away, so be prepared to make some adjustments to it. Even if you have a great business and your initial flywheel would work beautifully, there's always plenty of room for improvement. You should constantly try to identify new elements that you could use to further speed up your flywheel. Or, in the case the evolving market has wreaked havoc on your flywheel, find ways to fix it. Now, the key here is to understand that the pursuit of strategic innovation is a continuous process, not a one-off project, and you probably won't get your flywheel right the first time around. So if this feels difficult, that's because it is, and that's the point. If it was easy, everyone would have a flywheel and no one would have a competitive advantage. But if you succeed in creating a strong flywheel, the benefits are tremendous, so it's definitely worth the effort. Next, to better explain how the flywheel works in practice, let's take a look at a couple of examples. These days, few would argue that Tesla is among the most innovative companies in the world. They have a technological advantage over the competition, but also a reputation as having strong values that speak to their customers. And together, they create a great customer experience, as probably best evidenced by an NPS of 91 for their Model 3, which is the highest I remember ever seeing for any product. Now, a very strong brand and customer experience have created tons of awareness and word of mouth for the company that has helped the company to be able to retain a roughly 50% annual growth rate, even without any advertising or outbound sales effort. That is growth that even most software companies are unable to achieve. So given how they've actually also need to manufacture 50% more cars every year to achieve that, it's quite a remarkable feat. As they've been able to scale production volumes, they've also been able to reduce costs and become profitable, allowing them to invest even more in innovation, which has further helped reduce costs and improve effectiveness. Now, their vertically integrated strategy and continued investments in all types and horizons of innovation has kept the pace of innovation very quick and drives both short and long-term success. An interesting anecdote of their flywheel is that they have interesting possibilities for adjacent innovations that could further accelerate their flywheel. For example, they have now millions of cars on the road that are equipped with sensors that can collect data for training and artificial intelligence for autonomous driving. This has helped them collect billions of miles of real-world driving data, more than 100 times that of the closest competitor, and the gap is just widening as Tesla's customers are paying to collect that data when the competition has to hire expensive engineers to do the same. Apple is another example of a great flywheel. The core of Apple's business has always been high-end computing devices, be it computers, phone, tablets, and so on. Since the iPod, they've usually not been the first to market, but the first to reach large scale on every new computing platform, most notably the iPhone and the iPad. This has allowed them to build a large base of active users of their high-end devices that are willing to pay a lot more than users of competing platforms, and that has made it very lucrative for both themselves as well as third-party developers to create additional apps and services for their devices. Now, these apps and services further improve the customer experience of the devices, and that helps keep people in the Apple ecosystem, but also makes them more willing to pay for additional accessories and devices, be it AirPods or an Apple Watch, which further helps the company grow additional revenue streams and provide a customer experience that is guaranteed to be great. All of the elements work together to create a better customer experience within the ecosystem while simultaneously increasing switching costs to help the company better retain customers and get them to buy new devices. What's noticeable here is that even though their iPhone sales have stagnated, the rest of the elements, namely services, are starting to take over, providing them with the ability to maintain the momentum and find new avenues for future growth. Most of the examples here have a very strong digital component, and that's because the best companies in the world, regardless of industry, are almost universally the ones that have embraced digital. However, it doesn't always have to be the case, since there are also other kinds of innovations and flywheels, and Oatly is a great example of one. They are a company that was actually founded in the early 90s and had become a pretty stable and boring company until 2014, when their current CEO joined the company and saw an opportunity for growth. They expanded beyond their regular milk alternative product and focused on niche markets where they had a much stronger value proposition, most importantly, coffee milk alternatives with their Barista Edition. It's universally seen as a superior product for this use case. Everyone prefers the taste to any other coffee alternative, and it foams just as well as traditional milk, which is especially important for making those lattes and cappuccinos which so many millennials like to drink. Now, that was also the perfect opportunity to create an edgy and fun brand riding on the megatrends of both health and sustainability, which they did. Now, the brand, creative marketing, and a great product together led to an incredible surge in word of mouth and a huge demand spike. Before the company was able to ramp up their production, there were widespread shortages which led to products selling for as high as $25 per carton, showing how much people loved the combination of the brand and the great product. And that loyalty and incredible demand, of course, further strengthened the brand and created more word of mouth and demand. As a result, the company has grown at an incredible pace in the last few years, with revenues growing 65% in 2018. Now, some of you might ask, what's the innovation there? Well, the most visible part of that is their marketing and brand innovation, which was extremely distinctive and fresh, especially when in the early days. But the thing that really enabled all of that in the first place is that they also have pretty hardcore R&D capabilities, since no one had been able to come close to having as good of a product as Oatly's Barista Edition until very recently. Now that it's gradually starting to shift as competition has intensified, Oatly needs to find ways to add to their flywheel and create the next phase of growth. To wrap things up, the Flywheel is a great framework that can help you focus on building a strong innovation strategy and to really help you communicate it to all of your stakeholders. Building a flywheel is always challenging, and most companies have a really hard time nailing this, so don't worry if it feels difficult to understand the framework or to create one for your business. Even so, using the framework is always a great thought exercise, and I'd recommend you download our free toolkit via the link in the description to do just that. But that's it for today. If you have any questions, please leave those in the comments below and consider subscribing to stay up to date on all of our future innovation content. We'll see you again in the next one.